What if everything you call reality was in truth just a projection of the mind? The Double Slit Experiment in quantum physics revealed something many still haven't understood. Consciousness doesn't merely observe. It shapes what exists. But Hermes Trismegistus had already announced this millennia ago in the Kybalion. The universe is mental. This is the first of the 7 Hermetic Laws. And it's not symbolic. It describes the structure of the real. Everything begins in the mind, even what you think you didn't choose. The law of attraction isn't about positive thinking. It's about vibrational frequency and conscious perception. In this video, we're going to explore how neuroscience, spirituality, and quantum physics are confirming what Hermeticism has always taught: that your life changes when the observer changes. And if you understand this by the end of this video, the old illusion of a fixed reality may begin to dissolve, making way for a new world built from your state of consciousness. Have you ever asked yourself why the law of attraction seems to work for some and fail for others? Even after repeating mantras, visualizing with faith, and striving for positivity, reality insists on remaining the same. What few people say is that modern spirituality popularized a watered-down version of Hermeticism. Hermes Trismegistus, in the Kybalion, didn't talk about attracting superficial desires. He revealed that the universe is a mental construction sustained by a living and vibrant universal consciousness. Before we dive deeper into this ancestral knowledge, like the video and subscribe to the channel. This way, you teach the algorithm and the vibrational field itself that you are ready to expand your consciousness. You become an active co-creator of this digital and energetic reality. The phrase, "the all is mind," is often misinterpreted. It doesn't mean that everything is just imagination, but rather that the basis of all reality is mental, not material. The all is what some traditions call God, others call Source, but in Hermeticism, it is the supreme mind. Quantum physics describes this as the quantum vacuum, a field of infinite possibilities. And neuroscience is already beginning to suggest that our mind is more than a reflection of the brain. It is an extension of this field. You are like a drop of the ocean, made of the same substance as the all, but still limited in perception. The power of co-creation that exists in you depends on your degree of consciousness expansion. The more you align with the universal laws, the more you can manifest with clarity, purpose, and coherence. The universe does not deny your requests. It responds to your dominant vibration, and sometimes that means protecting you from what you're not yet ready to receive. Think of a child asking to drive a car. A conscious parent would not allow it, not out of a lack of love, but out of care. In the same way, the field of reality responds not to superficial desire, but to vibrational state. That's why, according to the 7 Hermetic Laws, everything has a time, a polarity, a rhythm. Manifestation doesn't happen because you want it, but because you're ready to sustain it. That is one of the most powerful lessons in Hermeticism. If all thoughts turned into reality instantly, we'd live in chaos. Existence in this plane is an initiatory school, where the time between desire and materialization serves to calibrate the observer. Hermes Trismegistus said that time is a necessary illusion for the soul's evolution. That's why the law of attraction seems to work inconsistently. It's not a failure of the universe. It's an invitation to vibrational self-mastery. And here's the most overlooked point. Every desire intertwines with multiple invisible variables: the free will of other people, soul agreements, unconscious patterns. Quantum physics calls this entanglement. Hermeticism calls it correspondence. The more you understand these universal laws, the less anxiety you feel, and the more presence you sustain. Because you begin to trust that reality is not random, but a response to your level of consciousness. Have you ever had that strange feeling that everything changes when someone is watching you? Or that things flow better when no one is paying attention? Science took centuries to understand what Hermeticism has been teaching since the time of Hermes Trismegistus. The mere presence of consciousness alters the behavior of matter. In the case of quantum physics, the Double Slit Experiment was the breaking point that exposed this undeniably. The experiment is simple, but devastating in its implications. When subatomic particles pass through two slits without being observed, they behave like waves, like possibilities. But when they are measured, they become particles, a defined reality. The collapse of the quantum field depends on observation. This confirms what the Kybalion clearly states. Reality is not an objective structure, but a reflection of the mind that observes. Richard Feynman, Nobel laureate in physics, said the double slit experiment contained the only true mystery of quantum mechanics. And perhaps he knew that this mystery touched the very nature of being. We don't live in a universe independent from us. We live within a mental field shaped by consciousness. The question is no longer what is real, but rather, who is collapsing this reality right now? And what is this observer? It's not just your eye or your brain. It's your dominant vibration. It's your expectation, your intention, your belief, your focus. Quantum physics is now trying to understand the direct effects of consciousness on matter, while Hermeticism has been teaching us for millennia that the mind is the foundation of everything. The field doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you vibrate with intensity and consistency. Studies from the Institute of Noetic Sciences, Princeton University's experiments, and the research of Amit Goswami reinforce the idea that the mind is an active agent in reality. And neuroscience is beginning to map how emotional states alter perception, decision-making, and even genetic expression. When you think with coherence and feel with presence, you're not just living, you're shaping the field. That is vibrational creation. But here lies the paradox. Most people observe the world based on their wounds. They observe with fear, with distrust, with self-censorship. And the quantum field responds without judgment. It simply reflects. That is the danger of living unconsciously. You think you're just seeing the world as it is, but in reality, you're repeating what your unconscious projects as most likely. The universe responds to active frequency, not to your declared intention. So if you feel like you're living a life that doesn't align with your dreams, the right question may be, who is observing for me? Childhood traumas, inherited beliefs, the fear imposed by society. Because as long as you don't take control as the conscious observer, you'll keep creating more of the same reality, without realizing that you are the one at the center of this field. And this is what makes the 7 Hermetic Laws so essential. They give you back the power to change everything, starting with the mind. How many times have you thought, this is just my life, there's no way to change it? That feeling of immutability is not truth. It's a hypnotic effect of the conditioned mind. Hermeticism reminds us that nothing is static. Everything vibrates, everything moves. And even if your mind says otherwise, the universe is in constant flux. What you call reality may simply be the repetition of an ingrained mental pattern, an unconscious version of yourself, continuously collapsing the same reality, day after day. Neuroscience proves that the brain doesn't seek truth, it seeks familiarity. Your mental circuits are shaped by repetition, and the more you reinforce a belief, the more automatic it becomes to think, feel, and act according to it. This is called neuroplasticity, but if used unconsciously, that plasticity imprisons you. If you believe you're limited, you'll create mental maps to prove it, and the field of reality responds, as always, to the observer. That pattern is reinforced by a mechanism known as confirmation bias. You begin to see only what validates your beliefs. Science shows that perception is selective. And Hermeticism states, through the law of correspondence, that as within, so without. The external world simply reflects your inner structure. This means that the life you see out there is a mirror of what you mentally and emotionally sustain, even if you're unaware of it. The 7 Hermetic Laws are not poetic metaphors. They are descriptions of how reality truly works. The law of rhythm, for example, shows that everything moves in cycles. And if you don't understand them, you'll be dragged by them. Emotions, behaviors, relationships, all follow vibrational patterns. True spirituality begins when you stop reacting to the cycle and start observing it with awareness. That's when the magician is born, the one who doesn't break the cycle, but learns to dance with it. Quantum physics, in turn, has already identified that the collapse of reality depends on vibrational coherence. The quantum field does not respond to fantasy, but to consistency. If you say you want to change, but keep vibrating lack, fear, or doubt, the collapse of reality will be chaotic or blocked. It's not punishment, it's precision. The mental universe responds to what you are, not to what you say you want. And perhaps the deepest truth of all, you're not trapped in reality. You're trapped in your perception of reality. The Kybalion reminds us that the universe is mental, and if it is mental, so is the prison. The key is to replace the automatic observer, shaped by pain, belief, repetition, with a new observer, conscious, present, and aligned with the universal laws. When that shift occurs, the world doesn't need to change, because you've changed. And the universe, being a mirror, responds. Have you noticed how many people say, "Let's see what happens," as if life were a show they can only watch? That posture reveals one of the greatest spiritual mistakes of our time, the belief that we're here just to observe events. But Hermes Trismegistus, in transmitting Hermeticism and the 7 Hermetic Laws, made it clear. You're not here to watch, you're here to create. The universe does not respond to inertia. It responds to the active vibration of your mind. The quantum field, the basis of all matter according to quantum physics, is like a blank canvas, and the observer is the brush. But there is an abyssal difference between the passive observer and the conscious creator. The first only confirms what has already collapsed. The second collapses with vibrational intention. Hermes called this state of aligned creation initiation. At this level, spirituality becomes a practical training ground, where every thought is a seed and every emotion a beam of light. To create is to choose what to feel, what to mentally cultivate, and where to rest your attention. Have you noticed how everything you focus on tends to grow? Neuroscience shows that sustained attention rewires the brain, and Hermeticism teaches that energy follows thought. This means that where you direct your mind, reality begins to take shape. If you vibrate worry, feed anxiety, or live in comparison, you are feeding undesired realities, even without realizing it. Imagine 2 initiates observing the same situation. One feels fear, the other feels faith. One sees chaos, the other sees hidden purpose. What changed? The observer, the lens. And as the Kybalion says, to change the plane, change the frequency. Reality does not respond to your spoken desire, but to the frequency you sustain with greatest consistency. That's the forgotten key in many superficial teachings of the law of attraction. It's not about what you say, it's about what you vibrate. Science already maps brain changes caused by practices like meditation, active visualization, and focused intention. Studies show that a coherent mind generates more clarity, more health, and more synchronicities. Hermeticism calls this unified mind, the state where will, emotion, and action are in harmony with the universal laws. In this state, the quantum field begins to respond with precision. Reality ceases to be accidental. It becomes alchemy. Observation is the first step. But stopping at observation is to live in the illusion of powerlessness. To create is to become a participant in reality. Hermes Trismegistus never said the universe would be shaped by those who watch. He said that the mind is the origin of everything, and that the all only manifests through those who vibrate in coherence with its essence. When you create with consciousness, you enter into synchronicity with the flow of consciousness expansion. And what once seemed like a miracle becomes method. Have you noticed that just understanding something rationally doesn't always change your life? That's because intellectual knowledge, by itself, doesn't alter the frequency of the field. Hermeticism teaches us that real transformation begins when you become the new observer. And that requires more than knowledge. It demands practice, repetition, and presence. The 7 Hermetic Laws are not just ideas to contemplate. They are instructions to operate reality with vibrational awareness. Neuroscience confirms that repeated thoughts and emotions create neural pathways, automatic routes through which your mind travels every day. To change that automatic you, the brain's structure must be reconfigured. Hermes Trismegistus said, "Where you rest your attention, there you are." That means changing the observer is redirecting your focus, your emotional state, and your vibration. And the first step is to observe what you observe, because your attention is your greatest creative power. Practices like Ho'oponopono, though simple, function as true rituals of vibrational transmutation. It's not just about repeating words. It's about cleaning the records that distort the field of perception. Each phrase acts as a key that dissolves unconscious patterns, and that is pure mental reprogramming. When practiced consistently, this tool becomes a portal to access a new version of the observer, freer, more loving, more present. This is where spirituality ceases to be a concept and becomes lived experience. Modern physics already demonstrates that meditation, conscious breathing, and active visualization alter brain frequencies, reduce repetitive patterns, and expand the field of mental possibilities. Hermeticism has always known this, but called that state mastery over the lower planes. Mastering the mental body, the emotional body, and aligning with the universal laws. That is the true initiatory work. But be aware, practicing once is not enough. The mental field responds to vibrational consistency. Hermes made it clear in the Kybalion that everything is rhythm, and without rhythm, there is no lasting change. Each day you choose to focus with intention, give thanks instead of complaining, transmute instead of reacting. You are forging the new observer. And that new observer doesn't just see the world differently. It collapses a new reality. This is the essence of the real law of attraction, often misinterpreted. It's not a tool of desire. It's a consequence of alignment with the all. When you vibrate in coherence with who you already are on the subtle plane, matter bends, not by magic, but by resonance. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And by becoming a clear channel, the universe responds with precision, because your mind now reflects the pattern of the Creator. In the end, it's not about controlling the external world. It's about governing the internal world and allowing reality to reflect that new order. Hermeticism, quantum physics, neuroscience, and ancestral knowledge say the same thing in different languages. The observer defines what is real. And when that observer awakens, there are no more limits, because you've finally understood what Hermes meant when he wrote, "The all is in everything, and everything is in the all." If you've made it this far, now you know. What you experience is not a fixed destiny. It's a vibrational projection in constant collapse. What seems stable is, in truth, a reflection of the mind that observes. And that mind, yours, holds the power to change everything. This is the essence of the law of mentalism, the first of the 7 Hermetic Laws taught by Hermes Trismegistus in the Kybalion. And now, even quantum physics begins to admit what Hermeticism has stated for millennia. You are not trapped in the world. You are trapped in the way you learned to observe it. And until you take the role of the conscious creator, you'll keep spinning in cycles you didn't choose. But once the observer changes, the vibration changes. And when vibration changes, reality responds. This is applied spirituality. This is ancestral knowledge activated in the present. So the question now is no longer, why won't my life change? The real question is, who is observing for me? Because if the observer is reprogrammed with consciousness, presence, and coherence, everything around you transforms. That is the key. And it has always been in your hands. If this video touched you, awakened, or confronted you, remember to like and subscribe, not out of vanity, but as digital alchemy. Each of your clicks teaches the algorithm and the field what matters to you. You are co-creating not just your personal reality, but the collective one. And if you feel ready to apply these laws in your everyday life, access now the eBook The Key to Prosperity, a living initiatory tool based on the Hermetic Laws and designed to reprogram your mind toward abundance. It's not a manual of promises, it's a hidden map, and it's only available while the portal remains open. The link is in the pinned comment. And in the next episode of the series, The 7 Hermetic Laws Under the Light of Science, you'll understand why the reality you live is a mental program, and how that program was installed without your consent. That video will be released this Tuesday, May 27th. Set the reminder, because it's the direct continuation of what was revealed here. And if you want to dive even deeper into this hidden field of wisdom, watch now. The card, the Kybalion, reveals 7 laws that shape your reality, but you've been blind to them. Until the next video. And remember, the mind doesn't observe the universe. The mind is the universe observing itself through you.